We met in Sydney during COVID with our dogs in, what was the park called?
Queen's Park. Yeah, it was the place to mingle. Went home and 2 minutes later I was like, do you want to meet up tomorrow? So
Only 7 months after they met, they bought a block of land together at Lennox Head and got engaged.
What was the feeling when you found out you were pregnant?
I remember it so vividly. Ollie was on the bed and I was in the bathroom. I read on the stick and I said, like, we're on here.
yeah, we're on.
We're on.
We're on.
10 months ago, the couple welcomed a healthy baby Hugo into the world.
He was such a good bub. Like, he fed and he slept, and to be honest, those moments are just so beautiful and it makes me quite sad to think about them. Because they were so precious, and it's even hard for us to look at photos of that time, I think, now, because we have this beautiful, gorgeous boy and so much has been taken away from him.
Yeah. We never thought anything was wrong with Hugo, and one day Brooke took him for a checkup and the community nurse just said, oh, his head's grown quite a bit in such a short amount of time, maybe you should go see a doctor and get a scan.
The next day, their GP sent them to the local hospital for an ultrasound. They were told Hugo had dangerous levels of fluid on his brain.
From our home hospital, I had to be airlifted with Hugo. And when we arrived at the Queensland Children's Hospital, there were a team of about 30 people waiting, which in itself is completely overwhelming. You've got your tiny baby on a stretcher being pulled into an emergency room.
Then the neurosurgeons, they came in and they said we need to reduce the pressure in his head immediately, and they just put a needle into the top of his head and drained the fluid out there and then.
A CT scan finally revealed the cause.
I remember those words, Hugo has a mass on his brain. It's like the worst moment in your life.
Hugo was diagnosed with a brain tumour called atypical teratoid rhabdoid tumour, or ATRT.
I remember asking, what grade is it? And I remember the doctor saying it doesn't matter because of how aggressive and malignant it is. But it was grade 4, which is the worst kind to have.
Hugo spent the next 6 months in the specialist ward. Brooke and Ollie gave up their jobs and ended up living in the hospital for 170 days.
You don't sleep. Like, Hugo had 5 MET calls, and a MET call is when you press the buzzer and your child's unresponsive. There's a whole team that runs in, and you have the trauma of seeing your child, your baby, like, unresponsive.
During his stay, Hugo went through 5 rounds of adult-strength chemotherapy.
It's complete torture for these children. You know, in Hugo's case, he had fevers almost every day. In the course of the 6 months, he had maybe 40, 50 bags of blood to keep him alive. He had seizures.
On numerous occasions, the couple have had to decide whether to keep putting Hugo through the agonising treatment.
The chemotherapy, he's had a remarkable response to it. The tumour size is reduced by like 97%, which is, for this tumour, incredible.
However, the toxic side effects have ruled out further chemotherapy. Instead, Brooke and Ollie have decided to put Hugo on the trial of a drug they hope will save his life.
In Brisbane, you maybe get 1 or 2 cases every year, and in Australia, maybe 4 or 5. There's not enough children to test new therapies on. You know, the numbers are so small and most children die from this tumour.
The couple is campaigning for more research into paediatric brain cancer and more blood donations.
The survival rates for paediatric brain cancer haven't changed in 30 years.
Leukemia 30 years ago was just as tough as it is now for Hugo to get through this and survive. And now it's almost 90% of leukemia patients do survive. And that comes down to funding and research.
I think it's hard to believe that in Australia, more children die from brain cancer than any other disease. We never thought that this would be us and our beautiful boy.
The family has been given the go-ahead to start moving back to their home in Lennox, where they can administer the drug themselves.
Just want to go home and pop him in our backyard and take him to the beach and pop his little toes in the sand. We just want to live life and show Hugo what he's fought for.
How do you stay strong?
Yeah.
I don't think we do.
No.
I think we crumble most days. Hugo's only ever been given 10% chance of surviving this.
10% is 10%. It's real people, real children. And so that's our hope that he is one of those. Because otherwise, yeah, you wouldn't do this unless you thought that he could be one of those 1 out of 10.
He was all eyes when he was tiny, like all big eyes. And he would just look at you and just be like, I want to be here.
Poor baby. Beautiful job with that story.
They're just the most beautiful family. You do stories and then sometimes some just really stick with you. Brooke, Ollie and Hugo, that's them for me. If you'd like to follow Hugo's story, please do, or help support. Head to our website where you'll find his Instagram page. They're so beautiful.
Some links there as well on how you can donate. I'm sure many of you would like to contribute.